What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Just want to say, hey, welcome to another episode of This Brother Talks. Um, just want to say, anybody who gets on, check it out. Just want to say thank you for checking it out. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for just, making the show possible. Because I just be talking to myself. Without you, I just be talking to myself. But we got a host of things we want to talk about today, from Coach K retiring. Um, what else? Brad Stevens, Julio Jones, Dame Lillard, LeBron James and the Lakers, Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. You know, so we're gonna dig right into things, and we'll start out. And then also we're gonna talk about boxing. I'm not a big boxing fan anymore, but for the most part, I do keep up with it, but I don't spend my money on it like I used to. So we're going to start the show by discussing Coach K. Um, Coach K retiring at the end of the season. Coach K decided that he was going to retire at the end of this season. Said it felt like it's time. He said it's not for health reasons, none of that good stuff. But me personally, and this is my personal opinion, I feel like he's retired because the game is changing so much where it's not like it used to be. And some of these older coaches are just not used to, the turnover, how things are. So for that, like, what I'm saying is Coach K, excuse me, mastered the one and done type thing. At one time, he was one of those guys where he gets you, you stay there 2, 3 years, good to go. But then, Calipari was with the one and dones, and Coach K took over that and just mastered it. And so he was good with the one and dones. But I think now with the protocol that they have now for the transfer protocol, I think that was just like one of the things that kind of, in my opinion, took him over the top and just kind of, left it alone. Felt like it was time for him to call it quits. As of right now, he's the all-time leading coach in wins. His record is 1,097 and 302. He has 5 national titles, 12 Final Fours, and 15 ACC regular season titles. That's a very, very, very impressive resume. If anybody knows, it's tough for me to talk about anything with Coach K and Duke because I've never really been a fan. And coincidentally, I'm wearing a shirt with Duke on it. It was no pun intended. Trust me, it just caught me whenever I, happened to look at it or whatever. But I've never really been a fan of Duke. I'm not a fan of Coach K because I felt like he got preferential treatment. But that comes with the territory whenever you have established a relationship and established dominance like he did. He did some great things for college basketball. I mean, he led a lot of young men to become successful, I guess want to say professional basketball players. Here lately, he's been getting more NBA players. It used to be where the Duke players weren't successful in the NBA. They was more like role players, and they went overseas and had good careers then. But now he's making more successful players. So this year is his last year, the last hurrah. He says he's going out on his own terms, which that's one thing that I like too. Coaches now, I think now it's good that he's getting out because one, he's in his right mind, he's healthy, and he's getting up in age. So, you want to spend time with your family and you want to spend time with your grandkids if he has grandkids, which I think he does. So, I think that's, perfect timing for him to get out. The game is changing so much, and I don't think that he has the energy to want to change with the game of basketball again, because he's one of these old school coaches. He changed with the one and dones, like I said, and now it's something totally different. These protocol changes is something crazy. Like you can have somebody that you possibly not think that's good enough to play right away, and you're grooming them to be the guy the next year, and boom, lo and behold, they can go and transfer protocol, go somewhere else and play, and then that kind of puts you in a bad place. If anybody knows, I'm not a fan of the one and done either. I mean, not the one and done, the transfer protocol. I like for people to be able to play where they want to play, but at the same time, you open up a Pandora's box when you do stuff like that. But Big ups to Coach K. He's leaving on his own terms. That's a very, very important thing. Like I said, he's in his right mind. He said it's something that him and his wife discussed, and that's something they're going to do together. So, hopefully this year will be, a good going out party for him. As I didn't say great because I don't root for anything Duke, but hopefully it's a good going out party for Coach K. He's going to go out knowing that he's the top guy and wins. I'm not sure if anybody will catch him anytime soon. I think it will take Boeheim, some more years to pass him or whatever, if he coaches some more years. So we don't know. But right now, like I said, a very, very impressive record, 1,097 and 302. That's very impressive. I have to give credit when credit is due. He won basketball games. That's one thing I can say. But my lasting memory of Coach K is on this shirt right here. Whenever we was in Buffalo, New York, when my brother hit that game winner on him. But I know that's one thing that he hates. I know he did, because the next year he tried to get my brother and them to come to Cameron and play, but he didn't want to do a home and home. He just wanted him to come there and just play one game and call it a day. But that wasn't happening. Anthony Grant was smarter than that. Like I said, big up to Coach K, leaving on his own terms. And that's one thing that I like, him leaving on his own terms. As far as Duke, I don't know which way they're going to go. It was said that they were trying to, their successor to Coach K was going to be Brad Stevens, but you know what Brad Stevens is, and that's another topic for another subject at another time. All right, so we're going to keep moving right along, and we're going to get into this Julio Jones thing. Julio Jones was traded to the Titans. A lot of people are big on Julio going to the Titans, saying that's going to put the Titans over and this, that, and the third. Well, first of all, Julio has to be healthy. In the last few years, he hadn't been healthy. Do I hope that he's healthy? Yes, because I think he's one of the top receivers in the league whenever he's healthy. But if not healthy, what good is he doing for the Titans in this situation here? I was shocked at what the Titans gave up to get Julio. It was very shocking to me that they only gave up draft picks. Because you said the worst trade ever. Hey, listen, it's one thing I can say, who won it? I don't know if Atlanta got anything or, got what they supposed to get out of Julio, or they just was like, forget it. We're just going to move on. And that's what it is, because Julio wanted out. So, they took what they could get to go ahead and give it out. But I was shocked at what they gave up. I mean, Julio's 32 years old, and he hasn't been healthy lately. So, my main thing is if he's healthy, it's a different ball game, because, the Titans got the running game. You add him as receiver, it makes a big deal, just as long as they have somebody to get the football to him. But do they threaten the Chiefs with Julio? I don't think so. I think it takes a whole lot more than just Julio Jones to do that, because, even when he was in Atlanta, it was showing that Julio got the yards, but a lot of times he didn't get into the end zone. I remember one year he had so many yards and couldn't get into the end zone. And I think it was about 4 years ago. But, that's neither here nor there. I just feel like the Titans kind of won the trade because they didn't give up a whole lot for Julio. They gave up some draft picks, which, easily they can get those draft picks back somehow or another, through another trade or something like that. But they didn't give up a whole lot to get Julio. And I think that, Atlanta lost this deal right here. I think they lost it badly, when it's all said and done, because Julio Jones is going down as your all-time wide receiver in the franchise history. And you gave him up for maybe 2 or 3 draft picks. That's all Julio was worth. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But, who am I? I don't know. The first thing that came to mind is whenever I found out me and my brother were texting each other, he was like, he was on dope. I said, yeah, they smoking something just to give him up for that. Or, like I said, or they just want to get rid of him. Let's go ahead and get rid of this, because all it's going to be is a headache. We're going to have to answer questions all year long. If Julio is still here, it's just going to be a circus. So I felt like, that might be the reason why they decided to, pull the gun on this one and call it a day. Do I think that Julio could have went to a better situation? Yeah, I think he could have went to a Green Bay or something like that. But Atlanta being smart, that's one thing they did. They got him out of the NFC and put him in the AFC. Yeah, he mad about that. Yeah, you're right, Natal. But yeah, so I think Julio is in a better situation because I honestly in Atlanta, I think Matt Ryan was declining and they just kept riding Matt Ryan and kept riding Matt Ryan. And he hasn't been the same since they lost that Super Bowl when they were up 28-3 against the Patriots. I don't think Matt Ryan ever recovered from that. Matter of fact, I don't think Atlanta ever recovered from that. So a fresh start for Julio. Hopefully he stays healthy. But in the end, I think that the Titans won this deal if Julio stays healthy because I don't know what Atlanta can get with draft picks to make them better. Because I just think their organization and franchise is in a bad way right now. So I mean, we'll see what happens. Football hadn't started yet. We'll see how Julio fits in with the Titans. Like I said, they got a great running game with Derrick Henry and all that good stuff. So that may open up the field for him. And it may, leave it wide open for Derrick Henry just to go, bust loose and do whatever he needs to do, which he don't need much to do that. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But, Julio's out of Atlanta, and it's going to be different to see him in another uniform. Like, it's going to be very different to see him in another uniform. Next topic. Is it time for Dame to move on from Blazers? I respect what Dame Lillard does. Like, I mean, the guy goes out, he gives his all and everything. He puts the Portland Trailblazers on his back. A lot of times people don't give Dame credit because he plays over in the West Coast. His games come on late in the East. Everybody sleep, got to get up and go to work the next day. But I don't understand why he's never in the MVP conversation because he does it year in and year out. He makes Portland relevant. The only issue is they've been having trouble winning. And me personally, I think that it's based off the personnel that's around him. And now I think that Portland is about to blow this whole situation up. And I don't know if Dame would want to stay there and put up with that because he deserves to be, competing for championships. He deserves to be on a contender. And with Portland, if they blow it up, I think it's 3 or 4 years too late. I felt like, they should have blew it up, got rid of CJ, got somebody else in there for him, to help out Dame because with those two, it was a nice 1-2 punch for a little while, but at the end of the day, I think it was just it's a tad bit too late to try to do that now, because now you're going to get Dame Lillard going from the peak of his career, to the downside of it. I'm not saying he's going to decline that much, but he done gave up some good years to the Portland Trailblazers, and I think it was a good ride while it lasted, but me personally, I think it's time for Dame to, not to go and try to form a super team because I think he's been stuck in that. Like, he wants to compete against those guys, but at the same time, he's never going to get any big time free agents to Portland. Portland is just not an attractive place that these guys in this generation, in this day and age, want to play in now. So I think it's time for him to start looking at other places. I thought about the Knicks might be a good place for him because the Knicks could get him. They got a good young core around and maybe one other superstar to go with him. And then you got a nice 1-2 punch with a good support cast because the Knicks have a lot of cap space. If I'm not mistaken, the Knicks got like $75 million in cap space. That's a lot of cap space and then it's a big market. And the New York fan base would, relish and love somebody like a Damian Lillard. Just imagine the Madison Square Garden crowd for Dame Lillard in Dame time. Like, I mean, just imagine that. What he did in Portland and put it in New York City, the media capital of the world. Then the Knicks could be relevant again. I mean, they were relevant this year, but they had youthful talent that wasn't ready to take the next step. And you put Dame Lillard with those guys and maybe one other piece, another star to go with them. It's a totally different Knicks team. And I think that, at the end of the day, Dame is a great, great talent. He's done right by the organization, but I don't think the organization has done completely right by him. And because they haven't given him the requisite pieces that he needs to put Portland over the top. Yeah, they got an aging Carmelo to come off the bench. That was a big pickup for them because that's what they needed at that particular time. But you can't rely on Melo for the next couple of years because we don't know how long that's going to last. He's getting up in age also. I'm not saying that he won't be good, but we don't know. And then you got CJ. He's injury prone. Don't show up in all the big moments, in my personal opinion. Also, TC, that would be like if the Knicks, were able to pull something off like that, it would be. But then, all the other pieces and stuff around him, like, he carried that team. Like, dude scored 55 the other night, and they still lost and didn't really have any freaking help. And and that got to be frustrating. It got to be tiresome to have to go through the same thing night in and night out. And you're in Portland, in the Northwest, where it rains all the time. It gets cold in the wintertime. And we all know that in this generation, these guys don't want to play in areas like that. They want to play in warm weather. They want to play in bigger markets. And I think Portland's a great place to play, but you can't get some of them to see that. I think Dame has embraced it, and he's done a hell of a job doing it. But I think it's time for him to start looking at other options because if not, then the team is going to wear him down, and his better years are going to be past him. And then that's when they're going to decide to get rid of him. And then nobody's really going to want him, or he's not going to be useful to anybody. Then he's going to look like he's ring chasing. I think he has done a tremendous job holding the organization together. So I think it's time for him to start looking at other options, and the organization do right by him. If he's still up under contract, trade him to a contender. Get something for him, but put him somewhere where he can be very successful and have a chance to win a championship. Because I think for now, it's time for Portland to look at it and blow it up and say, we're going to rebuild. You already started. You got rid of your coach. Jason Kidd, they were looking at him, and he done, basically bowed out on that. And I think that's a sign of what's about to happen. I think he knows that it's about to be, pulling a leash and getting everybody out of there, and there's going to be a rebuild here pretty soon. And if they do rebuild, I don't think Damian Lillard should be a part of that. That's just my opinion, because the organization should do him better than that, because this man has earned the right to not be a part of a rebuild. I mean, he came there, he helped bring Portland back to the status that they are. But now I think it's time for him to start looking at other options to see if, he can get into a better situation. Unless Portland has something up their sleeve where they're going to get, another big name and put him with Dame and then put some pieces and stuff around him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But I think it's really time for him to move on. It's time for him to start looking at other options and not wait for the team and not feel like he will be ring chasing or doing like all these other players, because he has a quality different than everybody else. He wants to compete and he wants to beat the better guys that that they say better than he is. So, we'll see what happens. All right. Next topic is Brad Stevens and him felling up. And I might say a few choice words on this right here, but that right there is the biggest bullshit I have seen in a long time. Brad Stevens. Um, um, oh yeah, Eric, welcome to the show. He does need another star. Appreciate you showing up, brother. Brad Stevens filling up. Like I saw Molly Karam say this, and I said she said it best. Like it's called filling up, and I think that's some bullshit. Like you could be mediocre as a coach. Don't get me wrong. I think Stevens done a phenomenal job in coaching. You know, the few years, not the few years, like the 7 or 8 years that he was in Boston. But to fall short year after year after year, and each year it was an excuse. You know, first few, LeBron was there. All right, LeBron leave, then what happens? You still don't win. You go to the bubble, you still don't win. This year, it's COVID. Kimba hurt, this person hurt. Like everybody had to deal with the same situations. And I felt like is the talent that Boston had, Boston should have never been a 500 team. They got themselves in that situation. I think Brad Stevens had a lot to do with it. And Brad Stevens had not only had a lot to do with it, but I think he was the biggest problem with Boston. And I have been saying it for the last 2 years. You can go back and quote me. I done posted it and posted it and posted it and said it's time for Brad Stevens to go. And everybody kept saying, well, you got this young talent. Give him a couple more years. If you give him a couple more years, it would have been 10 years for you know it, that he didn't have a coaching job with young talent and he never did anything. And everybody said, well, you know, he lost this person. He lost that person. Well, that happened in college. He ain't had no issues in college. He adjusted to that. But and this NBA talent is supposed to be the best in the world. So half of the time, only thing you got to do is put the guys in the right situation. They'll take care of everything else from there in the NBA. And Boston is a big market. You had some big names. Yeah, you know, the Kyrie Irvings came through. That didn't work out. But, I mean, you had Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, and those guys. What's the name got hurt? What's his name? Jaylen Brown got hurt. But still shouldn't have been 500. Not in the East. You shouldn't had to play against the Brooklyn Nets in the first round. But exactly, CC, he failed as a coach. It's plain and simple. That's what people don't want to look at. He failed as a coach. Now, with him failing as a coach, he gets a damn promotion. And when I saw it, I was like, this has got to be the biggest crock of BS that I have seen in my life. Like, you can fail as a coach and you can lose your locker room, but you can get a promotion to president of basketball operations where you're going to have to lead the entire basketball organization. If you couldn't control the locker room, how the hell are you going to control everything? I don't understand it. I don't get it. And well, I do get it. I do get it. And like a lot of people don't want to say this. A lot of people don't want to hear this. But just imagine if Brad Stevens was black. Plain and simple. Just imagine he was black. Would he got a promotion? Hell no. Would he have 8 years to fail and fail and fail and not win in Boston? Because if I'm not mistaken, that's what Boston say they're all about. They're about winning championships. Them and the Lakers are, they tied for the most championships, or they second or something like that. They got, one of the top teams with the most championships in NBA history. But he can continuously fail with the superstars that he had. Jason Tatum is a star. Jaylen Brown is a star. And at the end of the day, I just don't get it. I don't get it how you can fail up. Like you can be mediocre as a coach, but you can still move up in the ranks after losing your job. Yeah, so at the end of the day, Brad Stevens failed up. He got a job moving up in the ranks. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, Brad Stevens was wore out and over the bubble." Like, if that wore you out, then you do not need to be president of basketball operations. Plain and simple. Eric, you said who would they get as a coach? Who would they hire as head coach? Me personally, if they, if they hire anybody. Oh yeah, Brian. Real quick, I'm gonna touch on that for a second. He said, remember what he said about the play? I do remember that. Like it was crazy that he said. I can't remember the exact quote. You can help me out with it, but it was basically saying they got to make the jump. They got to make the next step up. That's basically what he said. Natel, you said Jason Kidd. Yeah. TC said if he was black, he wouldn't have been. he would have been. Nah. TC, he would have been. He would have had to be an assistant coach somewhere first. Regardless, he would have had to be an assistant coach. Look at Nate McMillan. Had to go be an assistant coach, and look what he's doing now. Okay, Eric, we're gonna go back to your question. You said who would they hire as head coach? Me personally, I think they need to go with somebody that has some experience and that has a real voice. Somebody who can control their locker room, and you know that like you got to get somebody to control that locker room, but somebody who can put an identity with them. Because I don't think Boston had an identity. I think they had a bunch of talent, but no identity. And a lot of people say, oh, well, it's Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. No, when I say identity, when you look at some teams, the Lakers, they hung their hat on defense. You look at Brooklyn, they hang their hat on scoring. That's their identity. And that's what you never saw. The Knicks, they hung their hat off on just, pure energy, outplaying people, not with all the talent. That was their identity. And I think that they're going to have to find somebody that will give them an identity. A lot of people saying Jason Kidd, but I don't think they're going to go Jason Kidd direction because every time you hear Jason Kidd, you hear about, his domestic violence and all that good stuff. And Eric, me and you had this conversation. I really don't know because it's no championship caliber coaches out there anymore. Pop is on his way out. I will say this person that might work out because I think it's time for him to take another step and move on too. Rick Carlisle would be a great coach in Boston. You tell me if you think that's a good Rick Carlisle would be real good in Boston. I think that he would be a good coach in Boston. I think it's time for him to get a change of scenery because he and Dallas, they can't get no big names, not no free agents. They can get big names like Luka in the draft, but they don't get it based off, free agency. Boston can do that. And I'm trying to think of some other people that, you could possibly, well, yeah. Mark Cuban is a smart man. I think Mark Cuban is very smart. He said he's not going nowhere, but I think he would be a great fit there. I'm trying to think of somebody else that, I think Jason Kidd would be a good fit there. Anybody else? I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Mark Jackson would fit in well, but I'm not sure if Mark Jackson would want to be the guy to come in. I think Mark Jackson is kind of happy with being in the booth and just calling games because Jason Kidd took his name out. TC, okay, he took his name out of Boston. Okay, I think that Jason Kidd sees something in LA where it might be Frank Vogel on his way out, and Jason Kidd could possibly get that coaching job. So that. But I mean, I really don't know. I think Mark Jackson would be a great fit because he could give them a defensive identity, and then the offense will take care of itself. Because offensively, those guys are very talented offensively. But I don't know if Mark Jackson wants to come out of the booth. And a lot of people get mad, oh, Mark Jackson, this, that, and the third, but he looked happy in the booth. I mean, the guy's calling games. I haven't seen him say much about, wanting to get back into coaching. I don't see that urge or anything like that. And they may have to go. TC. Mark Jackson need a job like Steve Nash, but like I said, he might be getting paid pretty good money that he's satisfied with that. And they might have to go with somebody who doesn't have any coaching experience but played a little bit, like a Chauncey Billups. I mean, I like Chauncey, but I don't know what he would do coaching-wise, but I think somebody like Chauncey would be a good fit there because he's played in the league. He's not too far removed, and I think that, he could relate to those guys and give them an identity because remember that identity they had with the Detroit Pistons when he was there. I mean, that was a hell of a team that they had. They didn't have any great superstars, but they had a bunch of players that could play good together. And I think he could, put guys in their roles and get guys to come and play together. So, I mean, that's yet to be seen. But Eric, that's a good question. We'll see what happens. I mean, and I think this is very important that Brad Stevens, being the president of basketball operations, that he get this right because he doesn't. If he gets this right, and he don't get it right, then it's going to be a bad look for him. It's going to be a bad look for Boston. TC, what you say? You said not disagreeing, but he should get an already made championship team. I mean, I can agree with you. I wasn't a big fan of Steve Nash getting that team, but that was a relationship with him and KD and Kyrie and all those guys. So that's neither here nor there. So we're going to see what happens with the Boston search. It's a lot of good assistants out there. It's a lot of unknown coaches that, we don't know nothing about that has a lot to do with some of these championship caliber teams. So we'll see. You never know. Boston might go after like a Mike D'Antoni or something like that because he's strictly offense. And in order, if Brooklyn wins it all and KD, Kyrie, and James stay together, then you might want to look at some offense because you look at that team, man, you can say this right here. Can anybody for 4 games keep Brooklyn under 120 points a game, and then they score over 120 points a game? That's going to be a hell of a feat. But if you get somebody like D'Antoni who likes to score, likes to get out and run and do all that stuff, he can make Boston a different team, because, you're getting up a bunch of shots and, he likes to outscore people. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm not saying that would be my pick, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and see what, he would decide to do whenever it comes to that, because you got to look at all the matchups and everything that has in who can give them the best identity in order for them to instill in it, take it, and run with it and be good at it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I'm going to get off Brad Stevens because, I could talk about that for a whole segment because it really pisses me off. But, all right, we're going to talk about one thing. We're going to go to boxing for a second. Is boxing a joke now? I'm going to tell you this right here. Hell yeah, boxing is a joke. And if anybody says not, then they crazy. I would not spend my money on boxing anymore. And people can say they got 5 sticks and all that good stuff. I don't give a damn. I'm not going to sit and watch this BS. I'm not going to watch it because it is just terrible. The last fight that I watched was Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And I thought that was a bunch of BS. Because they should have fought 5, 6, 7, 8 years before that. So boxing doesn't put the right people in the right matches at the right time. You got these promoters and people trying to make all the money and all that good stuff. And they won't put the right fights in. But now we've gotten to the point now where Natel say, yes, it is. I agree with you, Natel. And Eric, you say I didn't watch that shit last night. Listen, I didn't watch it neither. I had a friend. Our friend was letting us know he watched Chad Ochocinco and all that good stuff, and Chad did a good job. But to me personally, I don't want to see no football or basketball player turned boxer, want to box and think that it's something that that it's something that they can make money off of, and it's supposed to be entertaining and all that good stuff. We're seeing what happened to Nate Robinson in exhibitions. Last night they say Chad Ochocinco won 3 out of 4 rounds. Now I'm going to tell you this right here. I agree. The Tyson Fury and Wilder, I would definitely watch that, because those are 2 guys that are not running from each other. They're not running from each other. I'll watch that. But whenever it comes to everything else, Floyd Mayweather is supposed to be the GOAT of boxing, fighting a damn YouTuber. Like, come on now. And they talking about, it's just gonna be entertainment and this, that, and the third. But like it's ain't nothing but a money grab. And all the people who ordered it just gave Floyd them all their money to watch that mess. You got a YouTuber that goes 8 rounds with Floyd. Yeah, they had the rules. It wasn't sanctioned. Didn't have a judge. Didn't have none of that stuff. But he fighting a damn YouTuber. So now boxing has come to this now where YouTubers can go and get into boxing, and they can make a whole bunch of money without promoters and all that good stuff. So it's okay for somebody like I done seen like broadcast announcers get mad at, former sports athletes for coming and get jobs that they had to work on for years and years and years and years. Yeah, TZ, if I'm not mistaken, I think my son Amir told me that Floyd got about 100 million. I'm not sure. Yeah, Natel. Hey, listen, Natel, we can go out there and fight, because we can make up the rules and say, hey, we're not going to knock each other out. We're going to use some gloves that we normally use, that we normally don't use. We ain't going to go the full 12 rounds. We're going to go 3 8-minute rounds. Oh, we can just go 4 rounds. And we just going to get people we're going to do all this promotion and make it seem like we're going to really, really fight. And then, boom, we get everybody money in pay-per-view. I mean, that's what we could do. Like, boxing has really become a joke. I remember, the days of, Mike Tyson fighting Roy Jones Jr., Trinidad and, Tolliver and all those guys, man, when, the light heavyweights was, real big, and Mike Tyson was running through all the competition, Lennox Lewis and, all those guys. But now, man, it's a joke. I mean, the only people, like I said, I will watch, Tyson and Fury. I'll watch them. What did this boy say? Will Nate Robinson make another appearance? He probably will. Now, I'm just gonna say like this right here. If somebody gonna pay him, I guarantee he'll do it. And people watch it because they want to see what's gonna happen next. This ain't about if you can do the craft right. It ain't nothing about that. It's about sheer entertainment. And that was entertainment for everybody. This guy was knocked out. You can lose your life over some stuff like that. So, like, the other guy took it seriously. The Paul boy took it seriously. Nate took it seriously, but he didn't realize what he was getting himself into. Nate say, I'm trying to catch him and put him down. One fight put me in a boxing Hall of Fame. You damn right, because all you got to do is knock somebody out one time. Just once. And you good, Nate. You good. So, I'm just telling you, boxing is a joke now. And it's sad to me that Floyd Mayweather has got into this joke because I mean, he said he's the best boxer of all time, but why would you entertain anything like that? And I understand you're about your money, but you could have, put what's his name or something in there. What's the boy who want to be just like Floyd? What's his name? Always, brushing his hair. I can't think of his name, and I got a brain freeze right now. What's his name? He done got knocked out a couple times. I know Brian know who he is. Brian, who is he? The boy that brushes hair all the time. He think he Floyd 2.0 or something like that. I can't think of his name right now. I think of it because my wife, she laughed at him like crazy because he just think he's so cool. And Bronner, Jarvis, I appreciate it, man. Yep, Bronner. He could have put Bronner in that fight, man, and he still would have made money. Thank you, Natal Jarvis. I appreciate it. I couldn't think of his name. That's what it is. And Adrian Broner. And so, my thing is, man, it's time out for this stuff, man. Like, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. And like, I haven't got into the UFC, but it seems to me that, they put the right people in to fight each other whenever they're in their prime and who's hot. So I might need to start watching that. Maybe that'll give me better entertainment than boxing. Janet, yeah, easy money. TC said he's a great value flow. Oh, TC, no. Don't say he a great value, Floyd, because great value makes some good stuff. Now you can't do that to him. Now you gotta say he's a Dollar General or a Family Dollar, Floyd. Like don't do Walmart like that, man. Don't do Walmart like that. But to me, boxing is a big joke. It's a big joke to me now. And in order for them to clean this mess up, they got to do away with this riffraff. Like, them undercards and stuff like that. I like the fact that Mike Tyson and Roy Jones went out and boxed each other, but I wish that would have happened some years ago. It was just great to see those two guys in their boxing having a good time. But Floyd fighting a YouTuber, like that's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And the build up to it was even worse. Like y'all sitting there doing this facing off, like y'all was really about to fight each other. Boy took Floyd hat and act like they were gonna fight. That wasn't nothing but something for them to do for y'all to spend y'all money on. That's what it all boiled down to at the end of the day. And I wasn't spending my money. All right, so we're gonna get back into basketball, and we are going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. They got bounced by the Suns in the first round. Hey, I'm not going to throw no shade at nobody today, but a big question I have about the whole Lakers situation is, it's not LeBron, but it does have something to do with LeBron. The big question I have is LeBron regretting recruiting Anthony Davis and getting Anthony Davis to come and play with him in LA? Because I said it last year, the bubble helped Anthony Davis out and LeBron out, because LeBron is aging and he can say he's not tired and everything. But one thing I can say, Father Time is undefeated. But is LeBron regretting that? Because LeBron has some more good years in him, but he won't have no more good years if he don't have a sidekick. Every superstar has to have a sidekick. And if he doesn't have a sidekick, then he is going to be in a lot of trouble. And the Lakers will not win. They won't get close to winning because he can't do it all himself. We saw that, and the Lakers got bounced out. And we should be talking about the Suns and Chris Paul and Devin Booker and what they did. Eric, I'm not going to jump on LeBron too much, but I'm just going to keep it real. I'm going to let you know I'm going to keep it real, because this is how I feel about the whole Lakers situation. Game 6, Anthony Davis goes out and he tries to play. And I said it from the start. If you got a growing injury, you couldn't play in game 5, and 2 or 3 days later, that growing ain't going to feel better, and you're not going to get to play in game 6. Like if you couldn't play in game 5, you couldn't play in game 6. I already knew that. So I already knew he wasn't going to be 100%. He tried to go out there and give it a go. From the first possession, everybody and their mama knew Anthony Davis was not ready. He wasn't good to play in that game. Now, I'm about to get on LeBron a little bit. This is my issue with LeBron. The reason why I have an issue with LeBron is because LeBron went out and they started getting blown out. And this is what I said. If LeBron is going to lose, go out swinging. And I don't think that he did that. Like, I watched Kawhi Leonard over game 6 and game 7. And the guy went out like, if they were going to lose, we're going to go out on me doing what I have to do to try to get us over the top. Granted, now, LeBron could have scored 50. They probably still would have lost. But don't go out there and give me that mediocre, job that he did to get them past the Suns. That was my whole issue with him. I thought he was a whole lot passive. And I thought he stood around and did a whole lot. And no, Eric, don't. It's not even. It's not even that I'm comparing the two. What I'm saying is it was two different mindsets. That's what I'm saying. I would never compare those two because you know how I feel about Kawhi Leonard. I'm just saying that you got LeBron James, and I felt like he should have took more shots. I felt like he should have been a whole lot more aggressive. And granted, they said that he had a bad. They said his ankle was still bothering him. But anybody know me, and anybody know how I played and how I feel. Whenever you go out there and you lace them up, if you step on the court, you playing, it ain't no excuses. I done played and hurt ankles and all that good stuff. Hey, I won't make it up no excuses if I got my ass whipped. But at the end of the day, I felt like he should have been more assertive from the start. Because, and if he would have been more assertive, I think the game would have been a whole lot closer. Then at the end of the game, I felt like he would have had a better chance. A lot of people blame it on the role players and all that good stuff. Yeah, some of them didn't do jack shit. But at the end of the day, they followed their leader. And I felt like their leader was kind of flat. They played kind of flat. When he picked it up a little bit, they picked it up. And granted, he got tired. I seen him check himself out, a couple of times. And like I said, I saw the man get tired, which I haven't seen that in LeBron James's career. And at this age and this point of his career, he's played a lot of years. He played a lot of minutes. And if he doesn't have a healthy sidekick, do you think that he's regretting it now? Because everybody know, Anthony Davis is soft as pudding. I mean, we already know that. It's been that way for a while. It's just the bubble helped him out because the travel didn't have nothing to do with it. You walking back and forth or catching the bus from your resort to the arena, which was 2 miles. Yeah, and so at this age, Anthony Davis has to do something different. LeBron James take care of his body better than anybody. That because they say he spent a lot of money with taking care of his body. But I don't care how much you take care of your body. Your body is going to tire out playing basketball. Oh man, yeah. But I'm not going to talk about him like that. But at the end of the day, I feel like LeBron just didn't go out there and assert himself enough to me. I felt like he should have been going out swinging with the fences. Like, if we're gonna go down, we're gonna go down. We're gonna go down. And Eric, I'm gonna have to disagree with you right here. You can't say the best we ever seen because I seen a whole lot better. So I don't want to hear that bull crap. We're not gonna get on that subject today. So, but can anybody answer that question for me? Eric, I see you saying relax and all that good stuff. But do you think he's regretting it, or at least thinking about it, saying, "Damn, I made the wrong decision"? I mean, are we looking at it that way? Because Anthony Davis, if he's not healthy, I mean, they're gonna have to get some more pieces. They're gonna have to get some more pieces, and if they don't, and they're gonna have to get some more role players. They actually need. I'm gonna tell you what they were missing. I'm gonna talk about it in a few minutes. They were really missing somebody like a Rondo, not somebody who can just knock down shots and all that good stuff, but somebody to take the pressure off LeBron, because LeBron has to do so much for he want to be point guard, shooting guard, power forward, small forward, center, all that good stuff. Rondo put him in spots where he didn't have to. He could save their energy down the stretch. They let that go. That hurt him. But somebody can answer that question for me. Do you think LeBron is regretting recruiting Anthony Davis after this season? Because this season won't no different than whenever he was in New Orleans. He got hurt a lot. He missed a whole bunch of games. And he does what Anthony Davis does. He can have great games, and then he'll come back and look like he's never seen a basketball a day in his life. Simple as that. So, I think that he has. Unless Anthony Davis comes back and changes my mind, He has to come out and play like an MVP caliber player, not miss games, show up in order for the Lakers to win championships, because you can't put it all on LeBron, because he's not 28-year-old LeBron anymore. He's not 30-year-old LeBron. Hell, he's not 32-year-old LeBron. That body wears down. Like I think he takes great care of his body, but at the end of the day, Anthony Davis has to be healthy. It has to be a 1-2 punch. It just can't be a one punch. And LeBron will go out and get stats, but they won't win, the big games, because he can't do it all himself. And so that's what it's going to have to be. I mean, he can't do it by himself, because the guy's about to be in year 19, if I'm not mistaken. That's a lot of years, a lot of miles, and all that good stuff. And, this is his first time exit from the first round. And it's tough, going that many years, and all of a sudden, boom, you're booted out in the first round. And you were beat by, your child's godfather, Chris Paul, and a young upcoming superstar, Devin Booker. I think Phoenix had the better team. But I felt like if Anthony Davis was healthy and LeBron was healthy, they probably had a chance to win that in 6 or 7 games. So, but I'm going to move on, because I don't want to offend nobody with LeBron. My brother, he gets real sensitive whenever we talk about LeBron. All right. So the Clippers win in 7. Clippers win in 7, and they won in 7, and they did it. What does he say? Yeah, I agree with you, TC. How's the mental going to be? So we'll see what happens there. Natel said he couldn't play in the era of my GOAT, just my opinion. Natel, I agree, but we're not going to get into that subject, because that's a very sensitive subject to people. But the Clippers win in 7. We saw Kawhi Leonard go out there and play like he hasn't played in a very, very long time. They beat a decent Dallas Mavericks team. I'm still not sold on the Clippers. I just think Dallas was not ready to take that next step. The biggest thing with them was this right here. The Rondo effect. People don't realize this, but when Rondo, whatever that picture was that was floating around with Rondo, he looked like he was saying a few choice words to Kawhi. I think that's what kind of changed the mindset of Kawhi Leonard in this series and the whole Clippers team, because Rondo is the type of guy, he doesn't care. He's going to get in your face. I think the bubble took away potential from all players to pass through. I'm not going to say that. I think the bubble saved a lot of them simply because they ain't have to do no traveling. It saves some time on their body and all that good stuff. But Rondo brings a different attribute to the team versus scoring. He brings leadership. And I think him, Rondo bringing it and getting in Kawhi's them face. And Ty Lue finally made some coaching decisions. But at the end of the day, I think it had a lot to do with more Rondo, because he would get in guys' face. He would tell them that this is what needs to happen. He would get people in the right spots. It wasn't about, me getting shots. Like Reggie Jackson's a good basketball player, but Reggie Jackson is more looking to score and get his shots up. Rondo is worried about leading the team, and that's what he did to me. I think when he got in Kawhi's face, and there's no telling what was said and what was said afterwards, but I know he's the type of guy who speaks his mind, and he's gonna get on players and tell players what they need to do, even when they don't want to hear it. That's the type of person that he is. That's the type of player that he is. That's been going around the league from time to time. Everybody say playoff Rondo, but Rondo's been like that since his Boston days. He just had some injuries and all that good stuff. He's one of the better point guards in the league, but he's one of the best leaders whenever it comes to, just leading your team and being vocal and doing whatever, because Kawhi's not a vocal person. So Rondo helps that out. So he speaks up and he brings that vocal, attribute to the team, and he would get in guys' face. And I think he got in Kawhi's face, and that changed his mindset, because he called, Kawhi out, in my personal opinion. From what I saw of it, I think he called him out. He may have not, I'm just looking at it, and I'm looking at facial expressions. That says a whole lot. And I think he called Kawhi out, and Kawhi responded. And I think that's what helped the Clippers out, because, and I think, Ty Lue finally And Kawhi stepping up and starting guarding Luka Doncic because they just let the boy do whatever he wanted to do. Just let him shoot. You're supposed to be a two-way player. You're supposed to be a great defender. Get out there and defend this guy because this is your career that's on the line. Because if you didn't beat them and you got ousted like you did last year, then lose again this year, nobody wants to see, no more commercials talking about you taking over the city and none of that stuff. Nobody wants to hear any of that. So I think that the Rondo effect plays a big part with the Clippers winning and losing, because if Ty Lue doesn't play him, the proper amount of minutes, Eric, me and you talk about this all the time. I mean, I talked about him. I've said it. Like, when he doesn't play well, like it used to be, everybody says, oh, when he went to the Spurs didn't play like the Spurs. And I used to say that was bullshit because I felt like Kawhi didn't play like the superstar that everybody say he is. Everybody was trying to say he was one of the best players in the NBA. One time, a couple years ago, they were saying that he was the best player in the world. He was better than LeBron. He was better than KD. And I was saying to myself, but when he have bad games and he don't win, he doesn't do all of that stuff. But TC, you said off subject. I'm not watching the game. I need to look and see what's going on. But you say KD going crazy. So I'm going to look at the score real quick and see what the score is since ain't nobody told me. So I'll check it out. Oh, shoot. They wearing these boys out 95-65. So that tells me KD going crazy. But I appreciate the update, TC. But yeah, Eric, I agree with you whenever you say why nobody talk bad about Kawhi when he plays bad. Because he's supposed to be a superstar. And a lot of people use it as, oh, he's not on social media a whole lot. He's he's kind of quiet. He doesn't speak. But you know how I feel about it. If they saying you one of the best, we got to hold you accountable. And like that's what I was saying. I was wanting to see this type of person play. And he has to carry it over to the next series. And like me personally, I don't want to hear Kawhi's name in one of the top players in the league if they don't at least get to the Western Conference Finals. That's me. And me personally, with the team that they have and the teams that's left, if he's supposed to be, if he didn't go to a super team, so the limelight wasn't as big. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, Brian, on that. But at the same time, we're talking about when he doesn't play well at all. Like, it's always the team doesn't play well. But let LeBron play bad, we're dogging the shit out of him. Let KD play bad, we're dogging the shit out of him. Let Russ have one turnover, we dogging the hell out of him. So, I think it's time for Kawhi to get the same treatment. He's one of the best two-way players, but I can put him in the conversation. No. I'm going to tell you something, Kev. I wouldn't put him in the conversation with LeBron or KD, but two-way players, he used to be one of the best two-way players. I need to see more of it because I haven't seen him play defense really in 2 years. So I can agree with you on that in a couple years ago, but no, I wouldn't put him in the same conversation with either. But he showed me something different in this game 6 and game 7. Like he played out of his mind in game 6 and game 7. So, we're going to see what's going to happen in the next series. And so we're going to talk about the next topic, and the next topic is the Nets versus Bucks and James getting injured. I'm not even sure if James is playing tonight. Let's see. I'm not sure because I haven't looked at anything like that, so I'm gonna look at it real quick. Did James Harden play? No, I don't think he's playing. No, I don't think James is playing tonight. But no, I don't see. No, he's not playing tonight. But the Nets over the Bucks, I think that the Nets are a far more superior team than the Bucks. And I think that they can I appreciate that, y'all, but I had to look at it too. But I think that the Nets are a far more superior team. The Bucks beat them in the regular season, but you know how it was a revolving door. KD sat out, James was out, Kyrie was out, so they beat them in games, and where everybody wasn't playing. But with 2 of the 3 stars, I don't think that they will have trouble beating the Bucks. And I agree with you. I don't think they need James for the Bucks, not the way Harris shooting that thing. And I'm gonna tell you something. That's the key to me. Y'all know me. I love some good shooting.
I love some good shooting, and that's one thing that Harris does. He can shoot the hell out that basketball. And I watched it from like game 1 or 2 when he didn't take a shot one time, Kev, and KD went to him and said, "Hey man, shoot the damn ball." And I ain't seen him not take a shot since then. And I love to watch him because he plays well off of those guys. And like he's the best fourth option as a shooter, in my personal opinion. And I think that's the key to them winning. He knocking down shots and he's spreading that floor for them. I think it's going to, because you can't help off of him. You go try to double KD with him and see what happens. KD's getting the ball, he's going to knock it down. So, and TC, you say this happened to the Bucks every year. Man, it's Giannis, like, it's time for us to start getting on Giannis. You know, 2-time MVP, I think that was bullshit. But at the end of the day, Giannis, I think it's time for Budenholzer to go, because I think they did a disservice to Giannis whenever it comes to this, because they haven't developed him the way he needs to be developed. Like, I think they try to use him in the regular season where he can just get up and down the court and all that good stuff. But when the game slows down, y'all know how this game is now. If you can shoot, you can play. And the best way to be effective in this game is to be able to shoot. Yep, you can't play. It ain't like it used to be, where it was very physical in the playoffs. You can't play bully ball. Like, nobody's just letting you get to the basket like you want to. And hey, Derek, I appreciate that, man. Can't win it all with that. You're right, Eric. Derek Bees, you said Landry Shamet plays well, hard and out, key too, and extra shooter. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that, Bees. But with KD and Kyrie, I mean, you can plug any decent ball player in and they can win. KD done been in this situation before. It was him and Russ, and they had other players and stuff like that. So he's been in this situation before. As long as James is ready to go by the conference the conference finals, I think they'll be fine. I don't have no problem with that. Eric, you said Middleton shouldn't be the second. I keep saying that, and I keep saying that Middleton shouldn't be the second best player either. Like, he should be a third option. Middleton is a decent basketball player, but he definitely shouldn't be their second best player. I agree with you on that. And Brian, you said they said Dinwiddie might be back by the conference final, and that's going to be key because he brings a lot of energy to that team. He's better if he's back by the conference finals and KD, James, and Kyrie and everybody else is healthy. That's going to be a team that's going to be hard to beat. And I'm going to get off of that because, we can talk about the Nets all day long and all that good stuff, because like that's a tough one, like, because those guys are completely on a whole nother level whenever it comes to good basketball. All right. And, I'm going to finish the show off by saying this is my final word in representation, and shout out to Coach K, and I wore this shirt just for that. And my final word is the dagger. Coach K, good riddance. Hey, all I remember is whenever my brother hit this game went on you. Hey, everybody, I'm gonna just tell you something. We come from a little small town called Rayford, North Carolina, and we used to get overlooked by a whole lot of things. I had a cousin, Terrell McIntyre. He got recruited by Clemson, OU, a whole bunch of big schools. I got recruited by some big schools, but unfortunately, some things happened where, I wasn't able to go to any of those big schools. But at the end of the day, we come from a little small town called Rayford. And a lot of people don't know about it. But if you go somewhere, it's a lot of people that know that little small town. And it's about 22 miles south of Fayetteville. We got one high school. And everybody knows everybody, but it's very small. And those guys and us people, we do big things from the big city of Rayford. And I just want to tell you, anybody who comes from a little small town, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Like, whenever I say anything is possible, my brother got drafted by the Utah Jazz in 2009. Anything is possible. Nobody could imagine that whenever we was growing up in the dirts of the Hill and North Rayford Trailer Park. Nobody can really imagine anything like that, simply because where we're from is just us, and we always got overlooked by a whole lot of things. My cousin Terrell went overseas and was by far one of the best overseas players in Europe that they possibly seen, and won championship after championship after championship. And, so anything is possible. I just tell you, no matter if you come from a small town, big city, do not shortchange yourself, because anything is possible. It doesn't have to be in sports. It doesn't have to be, in anything that has anything to do with, something that's going to put you in a spotlight. You can be the best doctor, the best lawyer, the best electrician, the best plumber, but like anything is possible. So don't ever shortchange yourself. I just use my brother as an example because, where we're from, it used to be the only thing you could do was play sports, go to church, go to school. Simple as that. So my final word is don't shortchange yourself. Anything is possible. Just want to say, hey, everybody who checked out, everybody who interacted, I appreciate you checking it out. Hey, I'll be back to you next Monday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern for another episode of This Brothers Talk. Hey, everybody have a good rest of your night, a good rest of your week. Hey, and don't let nothing, when I say nothing, mess up your week, because if anything happens throughout the day, it's just something that happened in that short period of time. Don't let it affect your whole day. Everybody have a good day and good rest of your night and a good week.